I believe this is part 5, resume enhancement. If you have your profile summary included in your resume, you've already evolved your resume to the next level of professionalism. The education section enhancement. Inside of your education section, you can include relevant coursework. And in doing so, you can list the courses you've taken and summarize the work that you've done in those courses. You can list relevant activities. For instance, if you're an education club and you've held positions, maybe you've had internship experiences, or other IVTech related experiences. And if your GPA is above a 3.0, typically that's the rule of thumb. If it's a 3.0, you can include it on your resume. I've heard some people's school of thought is if it's a 3.5 or higher. Some people say if it's a 3.75 or higher. My personal opinion is if it's a 3.0 or higher, that's generally what employers will be looking for. However, having your GPA on your resume is not a requirement. That's a personal decision. If it's something that you're proud of and you want to put on there, you can. I can tell you that I don't have my GPA on my resume for any of the degrees that I have, because in the grand scheme of things, unless it's an internship, most jobs, most employers want to know that you've got the credentials, want to know that you've got the degree. That's more important to them in most cases than what your GPA was while you were in school. I believe in using the resources available to you. So if you go into My Ivy and do a class search, you will be able to find language that will help you with this portion of your resume. In this example, we looked up Intro to Teaching. In fact, we went ahead and did a search for the spring 2016 courses offered for education majors. And we saw that these were the 5 we wanted to look at a little bit harder and consider putting them on our resume. We looked at the course description, which begins with focuses on studying, et cetera, et cetera. What you see bolded is the language that we're going to use and apply it to our resume. And all we did was put the word studied right in front of that bolded language. So then we end up with studied educational research methods, cognitive and language development, personal, social, and moral development, behavioral learning, motivation, effective teaching, and measurement and evaluation. We put that on the resume. So now we have the profile summary. We have the education section that begins with Ivy Tech and the degree that we're seeking, as well as the relevant studies. Now, I always encourage people to put no more than 3 or 4 courses on their resume if they are trying to pivot careers and it's appropriate. An employer will understand it's kind of customary if a person has never had any kind of related experience, job experience for what they're applying for, that a student might put on there a few courses that they've taken to demonstrate they have competencies in what is desired for the successful candidate in which they are applying to be. More than 3 or 4 courses looks like a person is trying to pad their resume. So I encourage people to stay away from doing more than 3 or 4 courses if they choose this approach for their resume. Moving on to professional experience section enhancement. You want to communicate that you have experience doing what the position requires. You want to use the job description for the position you are interested in applying for whenever you can. You want to use job descriptions for several similar positions you are interested in from different companies so that you can find the language you want to use. And you are looking for that commonly used, universal, industry-specific buzzword or words to use within your resume. That's what we did. Revisiting those 4 job descriptions we looked at earlier, we underlined what they were looking for. So adapting, teachers must be able to adapt and excel in continuously changing fast-paced environments while make the children's needs primary focus, able to fully engage in physical activity. Here you've got the different age groups: infant, toddler, 6 months of experience with children birth to 6 years old. And this is one that we're really interested in as a unit director at Parkland. And we use that information to make sure that we are using good language as we populate our resume. So on this one, we're looking at the employment section. As a youth program coordinator, created and implemented 3 mentoring programs for middle and high school youth, worked with at-risk youth, providing supervision, planning activities that encourage academic achievement while balancing health and wellness, both physical and mental. See, called out that physical right there. Provided an inclusive and safe environment for youth. And I believe that was a requirement on this job description. There it is, number 2, ensure a healthy and safe environment, ensuring facilities, equipment. Yeah. So that's what we said, provide an inclusive and safe environment for youth, establish healthy working relationships with those entities that will help this individual in that role. Special sections enhancement. Think about answering these questions. Why should I hire you to do this job? What have you done that makes you believe you will be successful at this job? What makes you awesome? Because you are awesome. Tell me why. Your answers will determine if you need additional sections. Sometimes that looks like a volunteer section or volunteerism section, relevant experiences section, other early education experiences section, or other appropriate sections for whatever your major is. Resume structure enhancement. You want to arrange your resume according to your strongest selling points. Think of each section as a movable section. In some cases, your education section will be your strongest, and others your experience may be. But always lead, might be the wrong lead, but always lead with your strongest section and end with your weakest. And I've got some examples for you. So this is probably one of the most memorable things that I learned when I was in school, going through my resume, building courses and my development. We took a resume and we sliced it up. We did this with our current students here. So this resume had a border with these pencils at the top right here. And then it kind of was in this order that looks right here. So you had the header, professional experience, other experience, and then education was at the bottom. So we took it apart and we reprioritized it. And we put it back together like this. You have the heading, and then the next strongest section, or the first strongest section, would probably be the education section. This person has a early elementary education degree from IUS. Then they also have an associate's degree in business administration from us. Now, this particular person was going for a job opportunity as a secretary at a high school. So they wanted to call out very quickly that they have experience in education, but they also understand the business functions associated with being a secretary. Now, this person's professional experience was or consists of being a substitute teacher twice, being an assistant manager, and then also being a daycare teacher. And there's some other things this person did that was rather impressive. Now, here is another resume I like to show people. Similar format as this one, but it tells a completely different story. This was a person that came to me with a 5-page resume with the goal of reducing it to 1 without compromising substance. So that's what we did. This person has an objective, what they want to do as a registered nurse, highlights from their career, their license and certification, education. They have a nursing degree from us, and they also have an education degree from U of L. This person did the exact same functions across 3 different nursing jobs. So they pulled out those functions that they did at all of the jobs, all of the nursing experiences, and put it in its own selected competency section. Tells a completely different story, but looks a lot like this format. And the reason why I want to show that and point that out is because oftentimes people feel like they want their resume to stand out. And some people do that by using an interesting font that isn't typically used, or they want to use colors that people don't typically use, and they think that'll make the resume stand out. It will make your resume stand out, but not the way that you want it to stand out. What makes your resume stand out is you. You are the only person in the world with your unique combination of experiences. Now, how you present that is what makes it stand out. It can be the exact same format as the next 100 resumes that a person sees, but you will be the only person with your unique combination of experiences. So that's what makes it stand out. And that's how it makes it stand out the way a person wants to see it, and not in a way that's distracting. I like to show people this. Specifically, I like to show my VisCom students, visual communication students, this resume. This is my graphic resume. Um, it violates a number of resume rules, and they're really good on our campus and actually throughout our entire system. But I work with the ones on our campus, and the ones on our campus love to butcher this. They look at this and they say, I can't believe you did this. What is this? This is bad for, and then they love to just tell me why, and I just love to hear it. I'm glad they listen. I'm glad they learn. I'm glad they can critique me whenever I put it up here after we just gone through what a resume is supposed to look like. And visual communications resumes look a little bit different than a standard resume, but they don't look like this. So to recap, you want to use Hire Ivy and other online job searching resources to find opportunities. You want to include a profile summary on your resume. You want to include relevant coursework, activities, and your GPA if it's above a 3.0, if you're pivoting careers and it makes sense for your situation. You also want to use currently advertised job descriptions to describe what language or to determine what language to use on your resume. And by that, your profile summary as well as your experience. If possible, use the job description for the job you're applying for. You want to think about these things right here. Why should someone hire you to do this job? What have you done that makes you believe you will be successful at this job? And what makes you so awesome? Because you are awesome, you just have to tell us why. You have to put it on paper. Your answers will determine if you need additional sections in your resume. Always arrange your resume from your strongest section to your weakest section. And if you have any questions at all, you can email me, and I'll make sure that my information is included in this presentation. Thank you. You started school, now what? Begin with the end